A good tavach, a good hergesh, chassidim, anash. The special Farbringen, B'shaychas Chav Ches Nisan. Obviously we're all thinking about it the last few days, especially, and I was thinking that l'cheira maybe we could categorize chassidim these days, or people, or bachrim, or anash, in a few categories. Obviously, there are some chassidim who, by the Rebbe's call of tut atmasakent, that shturim dikasicha, that shook up chassidim, and if you feel allowed to say, it was a very gvura dikasicha. So the question is, some chassidim have, was tut men? What else can we do? That's very special chassidim. They have a strong hergesh or a munah or upleg. They have to do. Then maybe there are some people, was by zeh is nicht mamish azeh, they don't feel that bren so much. And Elamai, they have a rotzen. They want to have a geshma. They want to have a hergesh. They want to have a gefil. They want to feel an urgency, but they don't feel it yet. They don't have it yet. And then maybe there are some that not even holding there yet. So there are different kind of chassidim. So how do we? So the chassidim that by zeh is the bren is a bren. So it's bechlal is ganz clear what we have to do. Let's try a little to the other halakim. I'm coming from Pesach. Keneged arba bonim dibra Torah. There are four kind of bonim. There are four kind of yidden. There are four kind of chassidim. The one who's involved, who cares, who asks, who wants to do. Then there's the one and the opposite, who has, he's not so sure, and he's asking, and he's rejecting, and he's fighting it. And then there is the Tam, and then She'eni de Elishel, and the Rebbe adds, we know the fifth son. What's the fifth? The fifth son is B'chlal, not by the table. The four sons are by the table. They're involved. They're asking. They're without. They're ba'ad. They're neged. They want it. They don't want it. Then there's the fifth son that's B'chlal not there. The whole thing doesn't talk to them. And the Rebbe says that, the Rebbe says in a few places that these four sons are not only four separate people. Each one has these four. Each person has these four. Every person has these four. Every person has these four, and maybe these five people in them. So we all know that there's the Rebbe's famous answer, where the Rebbe answers to the Ben Rasha. What does the Rebbe say? Ila hayasham lo yinigal. But that's always only there. But now you have no choice. Now you're part of it. Now, so the garnish helfen. Now you're part of the Gulhamach, kicking and screaming. So the nish helfen, you're part of it, and you're part of it. Why? Once the Eibusher was Berchen and you, it's going to happen. In other words, one of the Pashata Yesodis of Tanya is the Nekuda of every line of Tanya says that. The Rebbe says in Amayna. One is I don't feel, I do feel, I don't feel. It doesn't start with you feeling you don't feel. You're part of it. You don't feel close to your mishpacha, but you're part of your mishpacha. That's a mitzias dikazach. You're part of your mishpacha. Have the hergesh, I don't have the hergesh. That doesn't change the mitzias. Every yid be'etzem has an avat to the Eibusher. And eventually, if push comes to shove, we'll go on Mesiras Nefesh for it. That means every single emissary munah, it doesn't start with the hergesh. You have it be'etzem in you already. The shaila is how you have to megalad. That's the shaila. But me megalad, but it's a shein beriton. There's a Geshmaka Maisa, and he recorded, I think it's on Gem, a person. He says the story himself that he was a kid. He wasn't matzliach in yeshiva. He wasn't doing well in yeshiva. And I think he was thrown out, and his mother brought him to Yechidus to the Rebbe. I forgot his name, but you can find it. His mother brought him to Yechidus to the Rebbe. And, And the Shiro told the Rebbe how it's geferlach and he's thrown out. He's not matzliach and will nicht learn. The Rebbe called him over. And the Rebbe called him over. And then the Rebbe, he was chutzpahdik. He tells the Rebbe, "You're the Rebbe?" So the Rebbe smiles. And the Rebbe says, the Rebbe shakes his head. Then the Rebbe says, "You're." I had those three questions. I think is, "You're a good boy?" I think. So he says, "No." "You learn Torah?" "No." "You listen to your mother?" "No." And we know when we hear such answer what happens. And then the Rebbe smiles. The Rebbe says, no, I remember the Oisius, but that was the Teichen. No, he ezak to emes. He's an emes a person. No, emes is good. Emes is good. And suddenly he says, you can hear him saying this, that moment changed everything by him. Mitamol, emes is good. Now, the Rebbe is saying you're emesdik, and emes is good, so I want to be emesdik. So that changed his whole life. You can see him saying it. What is the Rebbe saying here? He's saying he's kicking and screaming. I'm not part of it. The Rebbe says, but the Rebbe there's no one out of the picture. There's no one lost. We're not giving up on anybody. The Rebbe found the kudas emet by this person also. If we could say, if the side of Chassidus and any part of Chassidus means you have it already, you don't have to create it. The Yisod of the Rebbe, but the Rebbe, everything is first Maimer, Hayrida Lamata Ba'aretz. Everything in Chassidus is real and practical and relevant. Lamata Ma'asara Tfachim. It could change people's lives on this world. There's a main dikavert in the Rebbe in. I think it's Sicha Chelik Chaf Aleph. I think we're Tezayin Chabdal Tevis. The Rebbe asked the question: does the Eibush made the world with the Machlekes and Midas Achesed and Midas Emes? Midas Achesed says create the world. You call him Malach Sodim. Emes says don't make the world. You call him Malach Shkodim. The Eibush threw away Midas Emes and he made the world El Chesed Yibana. So the world is Malach Sheker. So the Rebbe asked the question: Eibazei, the world is Malach Sheker. The Rambam says Ma'amiti Simot Nimtzu Kol Animtzoyim. The world has an emes of atzmos. There's a world full of sheker. The world is emes. That's the Rebbe's question. So what does the Rebbe say? The Rebbe says, "Midas emes omer al yivra." Emes as a midah is against the world. Oh, but the emes from atzmos, adrab, yivra, dafke here is these galus, these battles of the emes of atzmos. Chassidus is obsessed with oyer, right? Oyer, edelkeit, gilui, lichtigkeit, transparent. And the Rebbe is obsessed with Atzmus. The pure emes alain. And you see the Muchesh. What did it mean? What did it mean in Lubavitch? I meant a person who's going to daven ba'avodah for 6 hours will have a Pesach Gilui. The Rebbe says, what means you can go over to a Yid in the street, excuse me, are you Jewish? And he could change his life. He could put on tefillin. You could be thousands of Baal Teshuvas. That means Hayrida Lamata Ba'aretz. It's a davar muchshi Lamata on this world. The Rebbe said that in the Maimer of Erev Having Ksiva Sefer Torah, that Midas, the seventh Midah is Midas Emes. That's the seventh Midah. The seventh Midah is Emes of Hashem Kel Racham Mechanon. And Emes is built-in mishtana. Emes doesn't change. Emes can change. Emes will never change. Who is mevata as Chassidus is Emes? Chassidus is practical. Chassidus is lamat namat sarat tzvachim. Chassidus is relevant in this world. The Rebbe. Rida lamata ba'aretz. And he come out of many pratim. Number one, the thousands of Baal Tshuva. Number one, the thousands of shluchim, thousands of bachrim who are pashat ibir geben. Hundreds of thousands of chassidim that they feel they have a mission. The label writes, the label go right to Geshmak Avart. He says in his Yoman, he says, and actually later I saw it, it's a clear bringing of the Rebbe, Yuchvad in the early years. That the Rebbe asked, I think, one of the doctors there, they gave him an article why the doctors try to write how much Latin words or Greek words, the Rebbe says, the regular person can't understand why they write this way. So they say that's part of doctor's language. The Rebbe said that in Mitzrayim there was a capital punishment if the Chachamim would shear their Chachma to the regular person. There was the Chachamim stayed Chachamim, they couldn't shear the Chachma to the regular people, and there was distance. If you share with them, there was a Einish word. And the Rebbe said that Moshe was raised there also, but 7 weeks later, which means Atmos says, whatever I have, I'm giving you. That's exactly. The Rebbe spoke to children. The Rebbe spoke to old people. The Rebbe spoke to women. The Rebbe spoke to every single kind of yid. It's a relevant thing on this world. And Abba Yom Hazeh is becoming stronger and stronger. In other words, let me put it this way. If you hear the Sikh of Chavches Nisan, what it sounds like is very clear. The Rebbe is very gvuradik. The Rebbe is demanding. The Rebbe is not happy. The Rebbe is saying, what he did is laheva v'ladik. The Rebbe is saying is, you guys don't mean it with the emes. The Rebbe is being very gvuradik, right? And it's Sfiras HaGvura. V'ula yesh lehem b'derech remez, but Chavches Nisan is Yisoy Shebegvura. What was Yisoy Shebegvura? The Rebbe is demanding from it because I see what you're shaykh to. We accomplished so much. It's so relevant. It's so practical. Look what happened in this door, and it's so akadikach prat that it's gonna happen soon. No, it's not a demand like, okay, what's going on over here? You don't care. No, because I see what you're shaykh to. I see what you can do. I see what shaykh to happen here. In other words, there are things that we have to know. There are things that we have no choice about because they're too big for us to have a choice. They're too emesdik. When to be born, where to be born, you have no choice. That you're Ben Odom, not a Baal Chai, you have no choice. That you're a Yid, you have no choice. That what is the first maimer? Lo b'ritzoneinu, v'lo b'bchiraseinu, v'lo b'avadeseinu. This that we're Deir Hashvi. Deir Hashvi is Deir HaGeula. That was 1,000 times. This is Deir HaGeula. We have no choice. That's the emes. That's the emes. They have no choice. I never said this is a fact that all Yidden are connected to Nasi Hader. We didn't make it up. It's not up to us. These are the facts. So this is relevant. It's a fact. We are good people, it's a fact. This is an emes. These are realities. Now, we have a bchira. What am I going to do with it? How much will I live with it? How much I'll be magal it? How much I'll access it? How much I'll to do something about it? So what happened most things? And the emesical things, we're like thinking about, is it real? Is it not real? And b'peil mamish, I can't do it. And b'peil mamish, that's where our bchira is. So bchira comes in two opposite things about the Rebbe. The Ben Rasha, the reason why the Ben Rasha he has no choice. He's part of it. You can kick and scream. If you're going to be, you are connected. And for Akim to look to Echad Beis Yisrael, the Eibusher is going to take you out of Golus. You have no choice. You're a Bchira Atzmis. That's a Bchira, but the Eibusher, Kesher Atzmi, unconditional. We have it. It's going to be there. Now, what are we going to do? Now, and therefore, says the Rebbe, Tuvat Atzmis Ekent. The first Shabbos, take achrayus, take responsibility. It's now you have a choice what to do about it. Bchira, that's where you have our bchira. So because we have this atzmizika connection, because we have this unbreakable connection that we didn't create and we didn't make, and it's not ours, and we have no choice about it, and the Rebbe is saying, I see it in you, and you could do it, and you have done it, and look what happened this day. And it's still going on. Look what's going on. All kinds of yidden. It's amazing what's going on. You see, Mamuchash Mamish. I'm just saying the idea of Nasi Hader, for example, a positive thing. There was you see it. Who was that story? The person, I forgot his name. Also, I think one of the gems, Avram something. He was started to think Taglit, and he was part of Hillel, and he came at Yechidus to the Rebbe with someone else together, and he was there for a few minutes, and the Rebbe held his hand. The Rebbe said, Avram. This is how the Rebbe know that a week ago I decided to leave chinuch, to leave it, to go into business. But he said the Rebbe's emeskait and they're numen, and therefore he stayed in chinuch for the next 45 years, right? The people in the left, Eretz Yisrael, they used to come to the Rebbe to ask advice. It comes from Yoni Mulchama. It came to Inyani of security of Eretz Yisrael, And someone once asked them, you Chevra are so different than the Rebbe. You so have no, you don't live his lifestyle. You don't believe in his lifestyle. Why are you coming to ask him eitzes? They came in the middle of the night, quietly, v'chulu. That we feel here we're dealing with a person that he really cares for Am Yisrael, no strings attached. There's no, he be'emes cares for Am Yisrael. And we'll give it to other people, they're making giving an advice based on money they're going to get, but other things. Here, there's no things. You see about the Rebbe, from one hand, they also printed, I wasn't Ali's son, his name is from Mavdal. The Rebbe said, you'll bring your own, the Rebbe was speaking of me, Yehuda then. You bring your own money in the world, all money from all the world. If my words can help one Yiddish girl not marrying a guy, I won't stop it. All money in the world. That's. At the same time, those Yid in the field, no strings attached. You kiss every single Yid. Even when the Rebbe was paid by Hillel, that person was in charge of Hillel, came from the Rebbe. And at the end, I said, it's better than chassidim. This is Chassidus is chayas. This is a living thing is alive. It's relevant. It grows. It's the same nekuda of Teres Chassidus as a Yechida. Rebbe says Mashiach is Yechida, Rebbe is Yechida. It's the life of the world. And you can ask questions. We don't see, but it's the life of the world. It's available. It's here. It's a lebedikite. It's one nekuda, emes. It's not. We're not chassidim because we feel we have a hergesh. We have a hergesh sometimes because we're chassidim. It doesn't start with the hergesh. It ends with the hergesh. The nekuda has to be like the emunah, the connection, the identifying, the realizing that we have it. You don't have to create. Yes, the Rebbe saying, I see you caring about Mashiach because you care, because you're a Yid, because you're a chassid, because you're a Deir Shvi. You care about it. Now the question is, could we practically do about it? I see it in you. You do care. You could accomplish. You accomplish so much. It became so practical till in chutza mamish, every place in the world can be. Every Yid has a shlichus. Every Yid has a mission. So now it's supposed to happen till begashmis mamish, a practical chassidus. No. That's the Rebbe's question. That's the Rebbe's demand. Now, if we go in that zone, that's what we start. We feel I have to create it. I have to just be megalit. If I could say in maybe a little other words, whole Chassidus is the whole time telling us here that what we see is not real. You look in the world looks like a big yash, a big metzias. It's not true. It's here, but it's not true. It's not independent. The world is batul. What you see is not real. You see a Yid who's chutza, it's not real. He has deeper. Everything has a depth, but it's more a depth. It's not practical. The Rebbe's thing is that depth is shaykh bepoyol mamish. It's going to change people's lives bepoyol mamish, begashmias. The chassidim that says Rebbe Zalman Naimak that brings into the Shimis. He was a Rav in Starodov. He said he went 8 years to jail for a alila of the Rebbe Marash, and he said 8 years to him is better than 1 hour of the Rebbe Marash. But it says in other places it says that not in the Shimis that he used to daven ba'avoda in prison in Russia, and he made goyim to do tshuva from davening ba'avoda. He was a big chassid. Zalman Naimark, a Rav in Starodov. So he came after the Rebbe Rashab, and you heard him maimer the whole night. And after they were so in this ball, he says, "Vaz dafich Mashiach, have Mashiach, vaz dafich Mashiach." I don't read Mashiach. He says, "I'll become one with us become one with me." And the Rebbe's mouth actually in a letter because Mashiach is Gili Lakus. So I have it already. Because I tell you that we have it. What does the Rebbe say in the letter, the famous letter of Yud Alpis and Tafshin Tezayin? From I'm a small kid. The Rebbe's first edus about himself. From going to Cheder before, I'm starting to think about the Geula, a time I will understand the Eibishter's ways of Golus. The Rebbe doesn't want to be hafshata. You can have a hafshata. A bege from Welt. The Rebbe wanted that abstractness is practical. Lamata masara tfachim. I'm even given to the Eibishter's purpose. The Eibishter wants Atmos wants down here. Atmos is the real thing, and I can't take Yiddish pain. Begashmius. That he did a lot about it. It's a practical thing. I see it in you. It's real. It's available. Look what's happening. No, let's go till the end. Now's the time to happen till the end. So the Pel Mamish. Everything's going to Pel Mamish. The Pel Mamish, maybe we could do Matzia for bringing Amaisa Hu Iker. If you could say B'cholos, the Rebbe spoke about two things. Two things. Number one, clear from the Sikha was, I want you, the Rebbe was saying is, we should care. We should scream Ad Masai. And not only because there's Tadas Begashmir, whatever it is, I should ask Ad Masai. That's the one thing the Rebbe was speaking very clearly. Number two, the Rebbe spoke a lot about, Beshach of that, Tazriya Mitzayra and Bolak was a lot about in learning Yula Mashiach. Those two things, learning gives you, so you can live with it. So maybe we could speak a little in the Peil Mamish and these things. So, okay, so Ad Masai, someplace they scream Ad Masai. Obviously, it's a very good thing to scream Ad Masai. But if you think about it, the Rebbe many times quoted, you say it in davening every day already. You say it, there's so many parts of davening that we say Ad Masai. Maybe it should be a ha'achlata, at least once a tefillah for a week, for a month, for a year, until Matuli is Galas Mashiach. Pashat think the words, slowly, in an emes dika'if, because we really care. Et samach David avdecha meheiras atzmiach v'karnoi tarum b'yeshuasecha. What does it mean v'karn tarum b'yeshuasecha? In Ayin Beis and Chela Gimel gives 4 pirushim v'karnoi. Karn means like a corner. Keren zovis. Karn means the light. Karn erponov. Keren means the strength. There is mazber that a corner connects two walls. There's no metzias of a corner. It's mizrach and darim. But they come together. They become. It's a metzias of ayin because this is adam. But when they come together, it's not here. It's not there. So it's mechaber two things. Malchus is mechaber. Mashiach is mechaber. Velt and elikus, and then becomes a shot. Not he breaks the velt. He connects it. Karnoi, the keren zovis. That's where there's a shine of Atzmus and there's a strength of Atzmus. The whole Aleinu, the first part is Chassidus. When the more a person kachzach understand what Chassidus is saying is, it's much easier to come to Admasai. It's not so real like it looks. It's not so powerful that it looks. It's not so strong. It's not so thick. It's not so what you see. It's not so what it is. But the Rebbe wants to lamata masar tzvach. Oh, it's a whole different story. Whole part of Aleinu is Shunit Shemayim v'Yesed Aretz Moshe v'Yikara v'Shamayim Mal. Then V'al Kain, this is the truth. Nekavalcha Lidas Meheda B'Seferes Ozecha. If we could think Peter Shamirus and Aleinu, Ad Masai. Shibora B'Samikdash Meheda v'Yameinu v'Serachenu v'Seir Asecha. The Rebbe once said it's a nigga to simcha of the Geula. It's Ad Masai. The Rebbe once said what the Shaykh is end of davening. Because the whole davening is like a mochama. You're begging the Eibishter for the fuah. You're begging the Eibishter for a birur. But you're saying, I'm asking for a birur b'derech teira, b'derech oir, b'derech uvgehebenkeit. Shibara beis hamikdash mehera v'yameinu, v'seich lakeinu b'seir asecha. We're asking for a birur of, we shouldn't have to fight. That's what we're asking for, birur of teira. The point is, so as the Hirah, the Rebbe of caring, based on, we do care. We do care because it's a fact. We have no chida in that, but we have deep down. Take a part of davening, a semach, v'zechazena. Every time you say Amen, Amen, and Yiskadra, Yiskadra, Shmei, Rabbi, it says clear that Rebbe Memcha says that this is the union of Yiskadra, Yiskadra, Shmei, Rabbi, is Mashiach. Yehei Shmei, Rabbi, Mevarach La'olam, Amen, Almaya. That's Amen on Mashiach. Akaponim, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Whole Chassidus Havaya Echad. What does Rashi say? Havaya Echad. Now it's Hashem Elokeinu to close our eyes. From the whole world we'll see it. But that's one nekuda. The second nekuda is Limud Gulu Mashiach. To learn it in the Eifin of Alichyeis means is that you have a geshmak in it. Like the Rebbe wrote in a letter, let's sire. To have a picture, to have a vision of it. To have a picture. I'm a situation. To learn it in the Eifin, I'm learning it. A geshmak means is I could try to visualize it. How will I see this situation by Mashiach? I'm gonna fight with somebody. I'm along with somebody. I can't do something. But how will this be by lo yisham lo yirav lo kina v'lo sachrus? How will it be in that matzav? It won't be that way. It won't be lo kina v'lo. It won't be that way. If I could picture myself, the Rebbe Lasha from the Rebbe, let's say b'sichloi. If I can make decisions that way and learn it that way. And when you learn, when you we have a geschmack or something, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again, you learn it again. If the Rebbe also spoke about Teresh B'Ksav, the Rebbe spoke in the Sikh, Teresh B'Ksav, Teresh B'Alpeh. If everyone has to find something, there's something in Yoni Gul Mashiach, I have a geschmack. If you have a geschmack, you're going to share with 10 Yidden over a month, over a year, 120 Yidden. Share it. You see, everyone could find something in Yoni Gul. It's a geschmack. It talks to them. I could think about it again. I could see it happening. But I want to end off. You read Torah, and you see like Keirach. Rashi writes Keirach was Moshe Rabbeinu. Torah calls Moshe Rabbeinu the biggest onav. And Keirach calls Moshe Rabbeinu a Baal Gaiva. Keirach says, you're not a real guy. And Rashi writes, Pita kol hashvatim that night. Most of Yidden were against Moshe Rabbeinu. How's that shaykh? You just saw Kriyas Yamsuf. Esra Makis. Matan Torah. Moshe. A few more. How can it be? And they're going over the whole Torah, questioning, challenging Moshe. Doesn't make sense. Same thing goes to us. I remember the Persian Gulf. Everyone says a 6-day war, Nevuah. When it happened, then there was people wrote to the Rebbe, what's going on? Persian Gulf War, the whole summer we're going in Mashpia, telling people you don't need gas masks. That night when it fell, the gods, I think it was a Thursday night, I remember people came there, he said there's chemicals. And I remember my whole Amunah went flying down. What's going to be here? Took a little time. Took 39 missiles garnished. The answer that the Rebbe writes in Chela Gimel Kutasichas was shot with Adam Adishin, 1 CV, 3 hours. That was the avodah then. Yet the Pechira Chavshis was two opposites. So it was a Mulchama then. La'achar HaMaisa is Klor. We're living in a crazy time. We're living in the seam of Deir Hashvi. In the Indian of what the Rebbe said, this is the day, this is the fact of Evida Lamata Ba'aret. The letzte day from Golas, the Esher day from Geula. The Rebbe says everything, the whole chassidus, everything is dependent on one Maisa, on one Dibur. It's dependent on us. It's a Meshuganas man. We have the schus. You say Shebegvura. It's Gvura the Rebbe spoke, but you say Shebegvura. It was like, because there's an opportunity here. It's going to happen here. And because this is the avodah, and everyone wants us to take our chayas to realize it, so there has to be questions. Every big step. There was challenge. Kriyas Yamsuf, there was challenge. Because big things are happening here. And we were trusted. We were trusted to make it happen. We were trusted. But look at every single step of the way. When the Rebbe said it, there's the special day of Baal Tshuva, 10 years for Shluchim to go out, La'erech. 50 years for the Welt. Mashiach, 10 years, no one. Now, Mekachtachem Mashiach. It's the Rebbe is describing reality. But when it comes to my avodah, it's always going to be. And therefore, the only answer is to halten sich stark, look on the past, and know that go into that zone of Lichyos and Mashiach. In it, put yourself the picture of it. Go be real with yourself. Have the life of it. Think about it. Say ad Mosai from davening. And then you see b'muchash mefrankt on Leben. And no question about it. If we're trusted, we're going to do it. We'll be matzliach, and we'll have these Galas and Mashiach take it from Yad. Chevra hatzlach rabba muflaga.